السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. So we'll continue our journey with Madarij as-Saalikeen. We're still in Manzilat al-Mahabba, and we will continue Surah Al-Baqarah. We just finished parts of it, and today we will continue with Surah Al-Baqarah, inshallah. So last time we talked about the first trial, or the first experience, which was with Adam alayhi salam, and we explained how did it end and what was the wisdom behind it, and it is to show that we are the successors in earth. The second experience, which failed, and Allah mentioned this experience so that they can, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show us as an experience. Usually when you have when you're being taking responsibility of something, you will get some kind of previous experiences, previous experiments, so that you can learn from them and you can see how can you proceed forward. And this experience is for Bani Israel. This starts from the verse number 40. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts by talking to Bani Israel, when Allah was saying, Ya Bani Israel, اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأوفوا بعهدي أوفي بعهدكم وإياي فارهبون. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is started to talk to Bani Israel by reminding them with the bounties that He had over them. And if you remember from Surah Al-Fatiha, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started with this as well by saying, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And Allah is telling them to believe on this message, which is a confirmation and affirmation for their book and their message. And as we go through the verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will start reminding them with different bounties. And as you can see, even He started that again by reminding them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them better. وَأَنِّي فَضَّلْتُكُمْ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. Allah made them better than other people because they were responsible. It's the same for us as well, that Allah make us khulafa. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. So this is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make khulafa so that they can be they can take the responsibility of spreading the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the world. So let's give the link is myislam.net, and you can find it the first thing on the link for this meeting. Okay. And also on the third experience with Ibrahim alayhi salam, you'll find that he also said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him, give him the advanced and give him the responsibility. And there's a nice thing after this that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also told them, because they will have a lot of people that they will be like questioning them. They will be faced with hypocrisy as well. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them how they can become patient. This verse actually is beautiful. Allah's mentioned to us and them, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. If you ever been in calamity and you have hardship, those are the two solutions: patience and prayers. Those are the two things that you can be able to continue in your message and be able to be tolerant on the harm that you will receive from people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned here, وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. Prayers, it's some people, well, sometimes feel that prayers are not easy to stay with the prayers and to continue doing the prayers on time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying here that إِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ, it's hard, it's big, it's huge responsibility, except for those who are khashi'in. And we'll have a different session about how to be khasha in salah. And this is very important. If the prayers is something that you're looking forward to do it, you will always love the prayers. And this is very important. Both patience and prayers. Those are your weapons against the calamities and things that you will face in this life. So this verse is very important. I would recommend that you can put it in front of you always. And whenever you feel something hard or hardship, always remember this. وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. And when you learn how to be khasha in the salah, it will become as it was for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he said, جُعِلَتْ قُرَّةُ عَيْنِي فِي الصَّلَاةِ. The coolness of my eyes are in the prayers. And he used to tell Bilal, أرحنا بها يا Bilal. Oh, ya Bilal, let's get the comfort and the peace in the prayers. And of course, he mentioned how can you learn this khushu' is by believing. Here, the word يظن is for like certain, believe that you are meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you will return to Allah. And why is that? Because always when you have this confidence and this belief in your heart that all what you're doing in this life, it's for a better purpose, for another life, and you're preparing for it, you'll find the khushu' and the prayers and the ibadat in general, it will have different beauty and different sweetness. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding them again that He made them better and made them responsible. وَأَنِّي فَضَّلْتُكُمْ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. And then comes a reminder of the hereafter again. If you remember the beginning of the verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, when he was talking about the three types, when he talked about the mu'mineen, you remember what were the characteristics of them? The first thing, يؤمنون بالغيب, and ended up وبالآخرة هم يوقنون. Those two things are very important to be able to survive in this world, to be able to take the responsibility of this world. Because if you believe in the unseen and you believe in the hereafter, this will be the motivation moving you in this life out of all the calamities of this life. This life will look very small to you when you have this is bigger responsibility and bigger goal. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I said, is taking fear the day, وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا, prepare for the day where there is no soul will be able to pay for another soul. Everyone is responsible about himself or herself. This verse, for people we said it's very important to memorize, definitely Surah Al-Baqarah. For people who are memorizing it, they might get confused because this verse has been repeated twice. At the beginning of the group of verses that talks about the experience of Bani Israel, and at the end of it. And it's talking about two types of people. They're not the same. That's why it's different in the wording. The first one is the good soul that's entering Jannah, but it's trying to intercede and plead for another person who's entering Jahannam. So that's why here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا يُقْبَلُ مِنْهَا شَفَاعَةً, that the intercede or the defense or the shafa'a or the plead for another person will not be accepted from this soul, the good soul. وَلَا يُؤْخَذُ مِنْهَا عَدْلًا, that there is no ransom will be taken from them to this other soul to be able to save someone else. So this is those two verses are different. The second verse is actually وَلَا تَنْفَعُهَا شَفَاعَةً, that the shafa'a of this soul that's spoken in this verse will not benefit them. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started to remind them with different things that Allah made for them. The first thing, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala split the sea in front of them. Wallahi, every time I remember this, it's like they've seen this miracle in front of their eyes, but they still went to worship a cow. It's like if you see that Allah has this miracle in front of them and the sea has been split, they should start believing on the unseen. It became seen actually to them. And this shows that this is a great miracle. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding them, we saved you from Fir'aun, fear, which you thought that you are destroyed and you'll be slaves forever. And Allah is reminding them, I split the sea for you and I made Al Fir'aun to go under the sea. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding them, after that, when Musa went 40 days to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 40 nights, you took the cow to worship. How can you do that? It's like, if you look at the verses, it's like, if you're in front of this miracle that you've been seen and all of those bounties that Allah is giving us, and you still worshiping someone else, that's strange. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning all of that by saying all of these things. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, even after they did shirk, Allah forgave them so that they can thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the book so they can get guidance. And after that, again, they started to not believe. And the most important thing that we learned from actually the experience of Bani Israel is the materialism. They were so materialistic. They believe in the things that they seen, but they don't believe in the unseen. That's why it started with that's it's about the hereafter and the day of judgment, and started by the mu'mineen saying yu'minuna bil ghaib. Here they only believe in the things they see. That's why they said here, وَإِذْ قُلْتُمْ يَا مُوسَى لَن نُؤْمِنَ لَكَ حَتَّى نَرَى اللَّهَ جَهْرًا. They wanted to see Allah so they can believe. This is not the unseen. This is, we have to learn from that. It's not about the material things that you see. You have to believe in your heart to be a real believer, as we will see from the third experience of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took them and then resurrected them again from death. Another miracle that they should believe with. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them food. They gave them a cloud above them so that it can save them when they were in the desert, to save them from the heat of the sun. And Allah gave them food from paradise, al-mann wa salwa, so they can eat. However, they said, we're sick of one food. We want different variations of food. And also when they told them to enter this village and Allah will help you when you enter, to when they changed the words that Allah asks for. And again, this is also another thing, that when they were in the desert, there's no water, right? So they asked Musa, they said to Musa to ask his Lord. They're not saying our God, or they do the prayers by themselves, which one of the things that they were distant things from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they asked Musa, so وَإِذَا اسْتَسْقَى Musa, so Allah subhanahu, Musa alayhi salam, they made the prayers, the istisqa, to ask for water. And this is another thing, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is distracting or moving their attention from the things that they used to. When Musa asked for water, they kept looking for for the sky, to see that comes from the cloud. This is what they used to. Either it comes from earth or from the cloud, the normal thing. So they waited to come the rain from the cloud. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them another miracle. He asked Musa to hit a rock with the stick. When you hit something, like rock doesn't get water, it's a solid thing. You hit it with a stick, the staff will break. But he asked him to hit a solid thing with a solid thing, dead thing with a dead thing, and the water will splash from the rock. It's another miracle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling them. Don't look for the means that you are familiar with. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يرزق من حيث لا تحتسب. Allah will give you the sustenance from places you've never thought of. It's not because of your power. They used to do the agriculture, they put the seeds and they get the planets. So they know what they're doing while it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they used to do that. So that you want to get something that they can guarantee it will happen. Fishing, agriculture, you know what I mean? But they thought about the men and salwa, things that we don't know where they're coming from. They taste better, but we need to get things that we do with our hands. Most people, they think my work that I do, I go to work, I work hard, this is why I get money. No. What you have today, what we have today is sustenance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah wants to take it, He will take it. But all of this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not because we work. This is what Allah gave us. It's not the result of the work. This is the same. Allah gave them without work all of this food, but they worked. We don't know where it's coming from. I want to see something that we do with our hands. So that's why they asked Musa. We need to, we can't just take one food. Give us like those, whatever we used to have, like min baqliha, wa qathaiha, wa fumiha, wa adasiha. They want the garlic, onion, the beans, all of this. We want the lentils. We want varieties that we get plant with ourselves. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, are you replacing the food that's coming from paradise? You're replacing this high class food with this low class food that you used to eat. Go and look for some valley that you can eat whatever you want. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them the dhillah and maskanat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cursed them with this dhillah. And Allah became angry on them. And this is because they used to kill the prophets. This is the thing, that they kept killing the prophets. This is what they're famous with. They killed the prophets because of arrogance. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started to talk about the mu'mineen. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, whoever, of course, will believe in Allah, wal yawm al-akhir. Again, it's the unseen, the hereafter. This is what we need to believe with. And we do good deeds. Those Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them their ajr, and there is no fear about them. There is no sadness in them. This is very beautiful. وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. They will never be sad. They will never see the grief. And they should not be fear anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started to list again the things that Allah gave them, that He أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقًا, that Allah took their oath and told them that do whatever in the oath, the contract, and then they disobeyed again. And this is very important, the أخذ المواثيق, and in Surah Al-Ma'idah actually talks about this in details. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked to them again what happened, the people of Saturday. So they were not allowed. وَلَقَدْ عَلِمْتُمُ الَّذِينَ اعْتَدَوْا مِنْكُمْ فِي السَّبْتِ. The story here, that they were not allowed to work on Saturdays. This is the day that they should not be working. This is worship day. So they used to fish. They get the fish from the sea. So what happened is that during the entire week, from Sunday to Friday, there are no fish. They're not coming. They can't find any fish in the sea. And on Saturday, they become shura. They become, and they're like trying to tell them we're here. So they start like getting in their nerves from the sea. They can see them in front of them. They're doing a show in front of them. So they said, okay, they come. So let's do tweak or try to do trick the Sharia. Let's trick the contract that we have. Let's trick the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they said, we will not fish on Saturday, but what we're going to do is we will put all the tools that we will hunt with so that when the fish comes, they will get trapped inside it, but we will not pull them out of the water. So we'll bait the traps so that the fish will come and they will not be able to go out, but we will not pull them out. So we're not fishing. It's just a trap. We'll put it Friday and pull it out Sunday. And this is a trick. This is very important. I mean, we're doing this a lot, especially here. It's like, oh yeah, this is not interest. This is not riba. This is not actually, no, 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 no. This is different. It's different than the other times. We need to be careful because this is what they've done. They've done a trick. They thought that they're not fishing. It's just how can we rework the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it halal to us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was angry on them and he turned them into monkeys. And after that, he kept telling them, and this is the main thing, the main story. And this is very important. I will talk about it in details, is why why Surah Al-Baqarah was named Surah Al-Baqarah. It is because of this story. Actually, this is the main story and it's in it, this story. The rest of the stories in Surah Al-Baqarah was actually putting the experience of Bani Israel and why did they fail. All the shortcomings of them, it shows here that they try to trick the orders so they don't follow it. They try not to follow the orders. They try to find ways around it, and they don't believe on the unseen that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end showed them that he can resurrect the death in front of them. So it started with Musa alayhi salam is asking them to slaughter a cow. So say baqarah, it's a cow, not the cow. So it was, if it was any baqarah, any cow, it would have done it. But because they try to make it hard, it's like they're trying to get away from the orders. So what they're saying is that they're trying to say, okay, are you trying to make fun of us? So of course Musa said no. So they said, okay, what type of baqarah? There used to be a recitation is like قالوا ادع لنا so تكون قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة. It's a cow. It's any cow, but because they're trying to get away from it, so Allah made it hard on them. Allah يأمركم أن تذبحوا بقرة, a cow. If you just went and slaughter any cow, it would have done. But they said, okay, what type of cow? So Allah gave them even something that's not obvious. It's like any cow can do be wala bikrun wala faradin wala bikr. It's something, yeah, most of the cows. So I said, okay, what color is it? They said, oh, it's like yellow. And then, okay, what tell us what's in it. And then here they started to say, وَإِنَّا إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَمَهْتَدُونَ. When they said inshallah, Allah helped them to find it. قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة. It's a cow, but it's تثير الأرض ولا تسقي الحرث. So after that, when they slaughtered the cow, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered them again. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing them the miracle that it's against the orders of the laws of this nature. So, I mean, you're hitting a dead thing, which is after they slaughter the cow, they take part of it, which is the bone of the cow, to hit a dead body. It's a dead something with another dead body. Why the life will come to it? But Allah is showing them, Allah is capable to bring the life from the death. And even the order here of this, it should, if the order, if you see the order, why it didn't come that it is in the beginning, oh, there's the death and that they tried to hit, that's why you have to slaughter the cow. I mean, the order of the story that someone was killed from Bani Israel, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered them to slaughter a cow and hit it with their bone, hit the body with their bone, so they can, the body will become alive and they will bear witness who did kill this person. So the order is like that, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it at the end so we can learn from it. It's an order from Allah. Even if it's an order without knowing the reason, we should always follow it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took a beautiful verse for all of us. It's talking again. This is the third time the heart's being mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah. It is the third part that Allah's showing another thing about why they failed. It's because of the hardness of their hearts. That's why it's very important to work your heart. This is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the third type of people that they will go astray. He said, في قلوبهم مرض. They have sickness of their hearts. فزادهم الله مرضا. If you have sickness in your heart, which is spiritual sickness, the heart here is about the spiritual part. If you did not treat tazkiyah and take care of your spiritual heart, it will become sick. And if you didn't treat it, it will become hard. And this is what happened to Bani Israel. They believed in the material thing and the physical thing, and they forgot the spiritual and the unseen. ثم قست قلوبكم من بعد ذلك, which led that their hearts became harsh. فهي كالحجارة. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started to give example. Their hearts became like rocks. Or even they said, even the rocks are better. Even your hearts are even harder than the rocks. Because rocks, you might find rivers and water comes out of it. And sometimes even the rocks comes down from the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But your heart does not even feel the Quran or doesn't have khashya or fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This verse is for all of us, is to learn from it. The hearts are very important. If we neglect our hearts and we only take with the physical means, this is the end. It's the reason why, one of the reasons why Banu Israel failed in their experience. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ended the verses. Of course, it keeps continuing like this. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioning all the sins that they've done and how it would be treated again until the end of almost before the last quarter, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told again, Ya Bani Israel. So he started those group of verses by saying, يا بني إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي الله التي أنعمت اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأني فضلتكم على العالمين, and then ended up with the same verse. It's close to it, but as I said, it is talking from about different soul. The soul that's going to hellfire. The first one is the soul that talked about that's going to paradise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about different things and how they didn't believe in the prophets and how they were disbelieved, and when the prophet came also they disbelieved to them. And here in the middle of the verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala come talking to us is you have to be different, as I said. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقولوا راعنا وقولوا انظرنا واسمعوا. So they used to tweak the words. So they used to say ra'ina. It's like they tweak it with their tongue to look like from ra'una. It's a bad word that they had it before, and They used to say that when they go to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as I said before, where they say "Salam alaikum," which is Sam from Sam. It's the death. It's like death upon you. So this is what they used to do. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, don't be like them. And even when you say, don't say ra'ina, or say anzurna wasma'u. And here that they said that the ladina kafaru min ahli kitabi wal mushrikeen, they don't ever want to have good coming to you from your Lord, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah gives his mercy to whoever he wants. And of course, this part is for us to learn that harm will come to us. We choose this word, we choose the da'wah. And during the Prophet ﷺ, he was harmed. People would talk about this. They said crazy, they said as sahir, they said a lot of things. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this message even spread, even in spite of all what they say. So they will say all of that. And we should continue in what we're saying and we don't get distracted with those messages or with this harm. And here it's like what the kathir min ahli kitab. A lot of people from the people of book, Christians and Jews, they want you to go back from your belief to become kuffar because they're jealous. And even after they saw the truth, so what Allah ordered us to do? Fa'fu wasfahu. Forgive. You forgive them until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes with his order, Allah ala kulli shayin qadir, again, and saying, how can you actually be able to be patient in all the harming and all what they're doing? وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ. In all the words in the Quran, Allah didn't say sallu. You will not find the word sallu. وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ. أَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ is to establish the prayer with the best way it was ordered to establish. That's why it's saying وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ, not صَلُّوا. And it came so many times. So those are, if the people of book, the kuffar is trying to harm you, you can steadfast. As I said before, وَاسْتَعِينُوا, use patience and prayers is to help you. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying also again, establish prayers and pay zakah. وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you. And here they said, this is also another verse that's very important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, they said that only Jews or Christians are the people that they will enter Jannah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is turning the verse to us. تِلْكَ أَمَانِيُّهُمْ. This is their hope, their wish. قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنتُم مُسْلِمِينَ. So in another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to us, لَيْسَ بِأَمَانِيِّكُمْ وَلَا أَمَانِيِّ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ. They said that they are the people of paradise. And we said, we are the people of paradise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, it's not by wishing. Guys, it's not wishing that will let you enter paradise. ليس بأمانيكم ولا أماني أهل الكتاب من يعمل سوء. Whoever will do something bad will be punished for it. And we talked about this verse before when the Sahaba asked the Prophet ﷺ what we do, and then the Prophet mentioned to them how they can be patient on calamities, that this Allah will clear and cleanse their sins. And the same that he's saying that even the Jews will turn against the Christians and they will say, we are the right people and those are wrong, and so on. And we will keep moving in this. Yeah, and this is the end of the group of verses. As I said, يا بني إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأني فضلتكم على العالمين واتقوا يوما لا تجزي نفس عن نفس شيئا. Again, the day of judgment. ولا يقبل منها عدل. In this case, ولا يقبل منها عدل, ransom. ولا تنفعها شفاعة. This is the other soul that will enter hellfire. The pleading and the intercede for it will not benefit her from the good soul. If you're memorizing, usually remember that the good soul comes first and the second soul comes at the end of the verses of Bani Israel. And then what we'll talk about next time, inshallah, is the experience of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about it in this Rubbah. And actually, before I started, just one thing that you remember it's also about the unseen and the heart again. The characteristics that Allah mentioned for Ibrahim, which not mentioned here but in other verses, جاء ربه بقلب سليم, with a healthy, sound heart. This is the characteristic of Ibrahim. It's very important. This is what Allah, what Ibrahim went to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Ibrahim, even the dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the same surah, يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. The day that our wealth and our kids will not benefit us, except the only thing that will benefit you if you came to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a sound, healthy heart. And this is what we're trying to do with going through Madarij as-Saalikeen. It is going through the steps in the hearts. Those are steps in the hearts to try to purify the heart, to be able to reach a healthy heart, and to get rid of the sickness of the hearts as we will go through this, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.